What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wits In Podcast. I am your host, Devin Witt, alongside my co-host, Joe the Show. And look, the UK tried stifling this podcast already before it even started, because they don't want anyone in the world to see what happens whenever you don't take care of your citizens first, and instead you decide to put immigrants over your own citizens who elect you, by the way. And that's where we're at.
In UK?
Yeah, the United Kingdom. Where else?
The United States?
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting there.
No, we are there. They already put immigrants over our own people.
Well, they definitely
How many
did.
homeless people we see on the road that don't have health insurance? How many veterans do we see that's disabled? Well, disabled one, but just homeless veterans that don't have the health care they need. Now let's compare that to the immigrants coming across the border.
Yeah, and I
But this is about UK, so go ahead. I'm just kind of making a point there.
yeah, and well, it always comes full circle to America, because that's just the West decides to group up together and make similar actions.
Sure. I interrupted you. Go ahead. UK.
No, this is extremely scary, and at this point, I kind of just want to risk it all and maybe see if we can get arrested and extradited to the United Kingdom for the crime of using social media. Now, obviously, using social media isn't a crime, but the moment you decide to make a fuss about whether it's foreign policy issues or now even local political issues, it can land you in jail. So without further ado, I'm just going to show two clips real quick that, in my opinion, really just put all this in perspective. So here we go.
Some people might be sharing simply to warn their friends, but it could be considered an offence because they're amplifying this.
Absolutely, and that's the key message, is that however you think you're acting innocently on social media, whatever platform it is, you're just sharing something for whatever reason, that could potentially be a criminal offence. And look, it's not an idle threat either, because the Crown Prosecution Service were keen to point out that they've made a number of charges in relation to stirring up of racial hatred online, one of which this morning was for distributing a recording that could, intending to stir up racial hatred. And so they are actually already bringing charges in relation to this sort of thing. So it's a very, very clear message based in the harsh reality, if you like, that if you do this kind of thing, you are potentially committing a criminal offence. There he said it. They've got teams of people scouring the internet looking for this sort of thing. And if you are in the business of sharing or retweeting, whatever platform it might be, potentially criminal material, well, then you could find yourself prosecuted.
That's intense, and look at the verbiage there. Sharing content to intentionally spread racial hatred. I mean, that's insane, because how do you know what anyone's intent is?
Well, it's always the thing, too. It's just like we have so many great judges and juries in America that I'm sure they would never get that wrong whenever you're being tried. I don't even know what the penalty would be. Did you say anything about that? I mean, 'cause it's stupid. It's this thing. It is. You're censored already, and now you got the government stepping in trying to censor it. The headline of this, we'll consider charging rioters with terrorism offenses. I could kind of see that to some degree. I hate to say that, but I kind of see that, like, if you post something like, "I'm going to do something bad to the president," more than likely, if they look at that as a considerable threat, somebody's knocking on your door, if not worse. So, honestly, even though the UK's coming out with it, that's already kind of here in America anyway, to some level.
And definitely, like, now to kind of put a little bit more context on this before I show the next video, some of the people that have been arrested for their social media comments were saying things along the lines of, we need to stop immigration immediately and burn the hotels that the immigrants are staying at. So they are calling for the destruction of property. But now...
They're making death threats, I mean.
Now, at the end of the day, could that be considered hyperbole? Like, is he actually saying, no, this is what we need to go do? Or is he just voicing his frustration of the moment, and that's how he feels Britain should react, or the UK?
Well, my question would be, more than anything, is, I've never been to UK, don't care to. But the thing of it is, apparently I'd go to jail if I did. all things, the lovely things I say in this podcast are so sweet to people. But what I'm saying is, like, if they have some law, you can't arrest somebody if they didn't break a law. Emphasis there, because, like, did they write something in saying, if you do this, you're going to spend a weekend in the jail, or $100,000 fine, or life in prison, whatever. I don't know.
They've already implemented other strict measures, like, for instance, if someone transitions to the opposite gender and you continue to call them by the name they were given at birth, that can get you in trouble over that.
So you get in trouble so somebody wants to say, okay, let me get this, so I'm asking this question correctly. So if they change if they're a girl and they transition to a guy, then if I called them a girl, I'd be in trouble. Whereas if you don't call them, like, hey, my real name was John, and you call them
Susie,
whatever, you get in trouble.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you're not using their identifying terms.
You're hurting. You're
That's
intentionally
stupid.
trying to hurt.
That
their
is stupid,
feelings.
because that's no different than a woman freaking saying, I've been hit. Yeah. I just said it, people. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but what it is in America, when a guy says the woman hit me, nothing happens. When the girl says he hit me, you go to jail. It doesn't matter. I mean, I think there's some things where they're gonna look for marks and all that other stuff, but pretty much she says he hit me, the guy's going to jail. So that's kind of that's stupid. But I can see us getting there. I mean, I think they're flirting with it, and
we are one president away. Remember, not too long ago, a man did serve time in America for posting a political meme that allegedly took people's right to vote away. I don't know. Are you familiar with?
Yeah, I heard about it. It's stupid.
We talked about it a little while back. And that's the state of affairs. Now, this is another individual who I think is actually a prosecutor, at the very least, I think he's the police chief. So let's hear what he has to say.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might...
It's not really serious.
...think they're not doing anything harmful. They are. And the consequences will be visited upon them.
It's stupid, because what happens if, especially on Facebook, somebody, you get on there and how many times they get hacked? But it's not that. It is very serious.
Yeah, it's
not. It's stupid, because you get your Facebook hacked, and then they could say, we've been after this guy for a while, and then there you go. You go down.
Content.
Yeah, just like everybody else that's in jail that did nothing wrong, and they just put another one. They're like, our jails are already overpopulated with stupid nonsense that we don't even control as it is, much less in America. And I'm saying America, trying to enforce or implement something like this. It'd probably be another law. They'll make it just like they do for the Bidens to make it sound good, but they ain't gonna follow it. Keyword there. They ain't gonna get prosecuted. Well, they do it to Trump, but they ain't gonna do it to him.
But that's kind of the point of what this is. Imagine a situation where your local police is more worried about the stuff that you say online than they are the brutal rapes and kidnappings and murders and stabbings that go on almost a daily basis.
They already
over there
do.
In Europe.
That's why they sit on the freaking side of the road with nothing better to do in the center lane and write tickets to people.
The point of it being here is that this is how dystopian the West has become, is that rather than actually stop crime and stop some of these issues from becoming worse, we'd rather scour the web and find out who's republishing videos of a riot. And the other thing too that you didn't even bring up, but what happens if your grandma just saw you share a post or post a video and she's like, oh, that's grandson, I'll share his post. She has no idea. And you're going to send her in jail because
that's what he said. I mean, because you retweet it.
Yeah, that's just,
or repost it. You're
insane. And the thing of it is, just because I share a post, that does not mean I endorse it. Because at the end of the day, I could just be trying to spread awareness about what's going on. Like,
Right.
what if you're a journalist and you're trying to report on what's going on? Are you going to be inciting violence now?
Yeah, well, they should.
That's the problem with it, is that it never ends. And, just to kind of put it in perspective, well, why are these people rioting? Well, look no further than some of these headlines, folks. If we look over here to the left, so we got a guy who posted racist comments on Facebook.
Sold anti-immigration
And
stickers.
15 weeks in jail. Then the next guy selling anti-immigration stickers. What a crime. 2 years in prison. And then, last but not least, repeatedly raped a 12-year-old girl. 180 community hours.
Well, we don't know.
And no
we don't know
prison
that guy
time.
raped a 12-year-old girl. It doesn't.
No.
Say, it doesn't say that. It could be rap.
Okay, here the problem of it is that you
Could
aren't
be.
going to be told to do community service for a crime you didn't commit.
Is it different in America? People doing stuff like that all the time, and they don't get. I mean,
And my favorite was this headline over here: Muslim abuser who didn't know that sex with a girl of 13 was illegal is spared jail.
that's what. See, that was what? When was that? Updated. Well, it was in January of 13. Updated. Well, the same
It
three things.
hasn't
Oops, I just shot you in
changed.
the leg. Oh, I didn't know that was illegal. Sorry.
Yeah, I had no idea. That.
Hey, that's the law. Oh, you didn't know the laws in America? Well, that's what they are for you.
Well, this is,
I mean, you play stupid like that, but people do that.
And he got away with it. And the problem of it is like this is just two examples. How about this? And this is all over here in the UK, guys. Horrific betrayal of 1,400 children. Asian gangs' appalling sexual abuse of young girls lasted 16 years because people in authority were scared of being labeled racist if they tackled it. Imagine, guys, that you're going to let 1,400 children get raped, sexually abused, because you're scared of being called a racist.
Yeah.
But no, we don't have any problems.
I'm
there's-
racist because I post a video of a guy stealing stuff. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's where we're at in society. I think that was last week, the week before. I said something about that. Yeah, I'm not surprised that they're. But people are going to take this the wrong way. That's what they get. It sucks because the kids and stuff like that. But I'm not saying it sucks for the kids. That's not what I'm saying. But it's kind of like, government gets. This is America too. I mean, you can say it's UK, UK.
Yeah.
Well, this is what happens whenever you start pushing these stupid agendas on people, and you put fear in them to say anything or do anything. These things unfortunately are going to happen, and this one, does involve kids, unfortunately. But I mean, can you blame them because you say something? You do anything to a person of color in today's society. I'm not going to say for everybody, but general rule of thumb, you're a racist. I've seen it over and over. Just me personally, I never called nobody a bad name. Never even mentioned. I literally, people, listen to me. I posted a video. I have it of a guy stealing stuff. He happened to be black, also with a white person. Just so you know the whole context here. I never said anything other than we're trying to figure out who stole this money from a little kid. And the guy, you niggas are racist. Really?
Yeah, it's insane.
Really?
It's insane.
You stealing stuff. I could think of a
And
lot of
getting
things to
called
say.
out.
So that's the thing, that's what white people are trained. And that way in America anyway, you can't do that. You can't fight it. And they're scared. I'm only saying because I can understand this to a degree. Again, I'm say it again. It sucks because it's kids, but I understand it because that's the way the government is pushing stuff out through the media and stuff like that and programming
Yeah.
this generation and the generations behind us to think. I've said that in other episodes. I know we're not necessarily talking about race here, and it's kind of a topic in this, that government is doing this. Now, I understand, people, it's taught, it's not inherited, but it's taught by parents and stuff like that and so on. But if you look at, I think the number one cause of racism in America is the government.
And media. And that's actually a really good point. Just a little side note, but how you can always tell the difference between if it's UK or American is how they spell pedos. Because if you look over there, it says Paedopiles.
I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Whereas here in America, it's Pedo. And so, I don't know. I've always wondered, there's certain words like that.
Either way.
What's going on?
But this goes back into the thing, we talked about on other episodes too. They'll get pissed off at this and they'll just open up the doors and bring them to America. You know, and here's what every American says: well, they got free health care. They got, so do we.
Well,
You know, it is. It's free for everybody, except for if you're a citizen.
Yeah.
I mean, so you know,
Look,
go ahead, come on over here, people from UK. It's a lot better. You know, like come on.
First and foremost, you know, I'm honestly a big believer in just not paying medical bills because, like, I'm sorry, but when your medical institutions are raping you on the price because they know they can get that money from insurance companies, get it from them. I'm not paying you money.
that and people are ignorant of that. They do not understand that. And this happened to me firsthand. I went down. I had back problems. Not going to run from that. Had to have a steroid injection. This has been several years ago. I'm sure it's went up since then. Send me a bill. It's $1,500. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, like $1,500. You know, whatever. You got to pay it. So I'm like, well, I call them. Can I set this up on payment plans? And I was like, yeah. What's your insurance? I said, I don't have insurance. Oh, you don't have insurance? It's only $500. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And so you're telling me that that's marked up, you know, basically over $1,000 for people who have insurance. Why is insurance so expensive in America? I know why.
Yeah.
And it was that one time that I seen it. You know, when my wife was in the hospital for one day. She had a surgery, and relatively, it wasn't like a major surgery, some major issues, but it's something they do all the time. And with that one day hospitalization with medication stuff was $176,000 for one day. Like, really?
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I understand surgeons and the doctors involved. There's not $176,000 there.
My wife was charged $250 for sitting in the labor and delivery room for 30 minutes while she changed to get ready to go back and have a C-section. And they charged her $250 for that.
Yeah, they charge you all types of stuff. Man, you look at them hospital bills, like,
Yeah,
oh, there's a pillow,
Yeah.
there's a blanket.
Yep.
You know, like, I ain't got no pillow and blanket. You know, like, and they're expensive. Those piece of crap pillows and blankets are these things are like the silk price of pillows and blankets in the hospital.
You thought you were staying at the Taj Mahal.
It's like, oh, you want a hospital blanket? They don't do anything. They cover you. That's it. They don't keep you warm. You know, whatever. So now we're going way off track here.
But no, let's go back into it, though, of where does racism stem from? And in my opinion, it's from government and media. Now, how can I say that? Let me go back a slide real quick, and let's look at when that was posted, January of 2013. So this has been going on for over a decade over there, this kind of stuff, where immigrants are able to come into your country and say, oh, I didn't know that there was rules about raping children. And they're able to get off with it.
Well, who did this article?
And
Daily
Mail.
Well, they did
Daily
do
Mail.
this right, because if you see, you can't probably see it. I like it.
Yeah.
Ignorant.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not even going to say his name. Did not, because I can't pronounce it. Did not know it was illegal to have sex with a 13-year-old girl. So at least they got it right. Like, ignorant. Yeah, I mean,
Let's just
that's
call him Muhammad.
politely.
That seems to be half of the UK at this point.
What's your Adil?
So
Adil Rashad. I mean,
Yeah.
their last
Rashid.
name Rashid.
Yeah.
Rashid. Whatever.
Yeah, well, the point of it being here is that we've been gaslit for a long time now, and the government has clearly been pitting people against each other because it becomes class war. And so if I can get whites versus blacks, citizens versus non-citizens to go at each other's throats rather than focusing on the people who are actually in power, then they're winning. And their goal and their agenda is continuing to further. And that's kind of where I start to say, I think a lot of people in the UK's anger and frustration is being taken out on the wrong people. Yes, I think that illegal immigrants should be put back on a boat and shipped back to wherever they came from.
Well, they didn't come on a boat. They
or-
came across the border. It was land.
No, I'm talking about in the UK.
They didn't come on a boat?
Oh yeah, they come for boats. You better believe. I mean, this is slave trade all over again.
And do they have a river like Mexico where it's like, oh, if you're like, it's like half divided? Where I'm just curious. I don't even know if you know the answer to this, but now that you said it, I'm curious if there's like some dividing line where it's like,
Don't cross.
obviously, yes, there's waterways, but I'm looking, there's like this road, and you're like, oh, here's the dividing line for traffic, and if you cross this line, you're in America, and this one you're in UK, and like it's like, oh, drugs here, just throw them across because you can't do anything.
Yeah,
because that's
well-
what they do. That's what they do on the Mexican border.
Look, at the end of the day, there's definitely a lot of shenanigans going about, but the major key here is that I think the citizens there are fighting the wrong battle, because if I'm really going to try and have an impact and get things to change, I'm not burning down a hotel. I'm going straight to the courthouse,
Right.
and I'm burning that thing down. I'm going straight to the president's house, and I'm burning that thing down, because that's how you send a message. That's how you start to let politicians know you can't ignore us any longer. And that's where I get a little bit frustrated, is that the way this narrative is being pushed, it's right-wing extremists versus immigrants who want to practice Sharia law. And the issue with that is that's a lose-lose situation, because you're going to end up with a civil war type situation, rather than if you just went to the head of the snake and chopped it off there, all your problems would be dealt with. And, I say all that because they're so hypocritical, these guys. The craziest part is that the very things they accuse people of, being racist, being bigoted, homophobic, whatever, all of them used to take part of. And I actually have a prime example that you can only find on a platform like X. So let me just go ahead and show you this real quick. Look over here to the left. So this is a elected official from the UK who back in June 20th of 2009 said, "I want these fucking Estonian retards out of my flat now." And then, of course, the internet never forgets. People found this, and this is after people are being arrested for their commentary on social media, making racist remarks or intentionally derogatory statements about immigrants. And so here's her statement. "I have recently been made aware of a small number of tweets that I posted on Twitter from over a decade ago, which I now deeply regret. They were a significant error of judgment on my part, and I apologize wholeheartedly. Since becoming a local councillor and more recently an MP, I have seen firsthand the importance of bringing communities together and working with tolerance." And
She
it
spelled
continues.
apologize wrong.
I know. That's UK, man. They spell everything
I
wrong.
want to. I'm sorry. I don't really care about this stuff, so I'm interested in what a flat is.
A flat is an apartment.
Okay.
I
I don't really care what's going on in UK, to be honest with you. I'm just talking about it because that's what you want to talk about today.
I'm telling you, because it's coming here to America in November if we elect a certain dictator named Kamala Harris. Because if you aren't aware, she's a full-blown communist, and I'll prove it.
It's not going to happen.
I'll prove it in a couple videos. Now, over here to the right, this is where the media becomes. So we got government officials over here who are doing the exact same thing they want to jail people for. And now, it came out, so I'm going to just say I apologize, and that's that. I guarantee you she won't spend a day in jail for what she said. And then over here you have a glorious article from The Guardian. England riots. How has two-tier policing myth become widespread? And then down here they get community noted on Twitter for the exact thing that they were doing. So The Guardian has been telling people about two-tier policing based on race and sexuality for decades. And they have links to articles in which they are doing the exact thing that they're trying to gaslight you and say, "Well, how did this happen? We weren't a part of that. We have no idea how we've gotten to a point where people feel like there's injustice in their country." And that's the correlation that you see in America. Like, oh my gosh, they actually tried to assassinate Donald Trump. I'm shocked. I never thought in a million years that would happen. Even though every day on mainstream television you have pundits and politicians telling you, "I would love to punch that man in the face. He shouldn't have missed. I mean, he's an illegitimate president." Every derogatory thing you can think of, and then they're shocked whenever bad things
in America.
happen.
One, people wouldn't tolerate this in America. Number two, you send a bunch of cops like these guys with no guns. Really?
Well,
And we'll say the best case scenario, the cops in America came with guns. They can't even use them right. That was proved whenever they tried assassinating Trump.
See, the problem... yeah, I know.
I mean, but like...
Dude.
I'm just saying, I know, kind of stupid little smart dad puns there, I guess, but like, I don't see it happening in America because people ain't going to stand up for that nonsense.
You're right.
In Oklahoma, you can legally run over people for rioting. I'm not saying that there's places that's stupid enough to get on board with this, because I do think on the west to the east side, no, I'm not going to say the west or the east side, the west coast, the east coast, yeah, I could see that. Because so I think, and I'm not categorizing everybody in there. Okay, let me rephrase it this way. I could see a lot of the blue states doing it because they're stupid, you know, and I'm not saying that just because you vote blue, you know, that you fall in that category, but that's the people that's going to let this stuff happen.
No,
Well, you've got some of the central states, I would say primarily red, and it ain't even about guns. It ain't about none of violence. That they're not gonna tolerate it. And it's because what I'm saying is, y'all don't have no common sense.
Well, that's the problem. And here's how you know, because they have slogans like "Vote Blue, no matter who."
Yeah, that's stupid.
You know, like, what are you talking about? You almost put in a senile man who literally couldn't make it through another 4 years of life, and you were acting like he was God's gift
And then
to
like
America.
the next biggest feller you could see under his command, that's who y'all want to vote for. Well, yeah, she's already had failed immigration policy as it is.
Oh, but
and she has failed gun policies as it is.
But allegedly, she never had anything to do
I know
with the
she's
border.
like everything politician wise. I know. She'll pass it off to somebody else. They'll take the heat. That's what they do. It's like this whole thing. Whenever Trump came down, you know, poor guy shot. You know, of course he, you know, definitely had the media attention. But you know what the whole thing was. It even really took the highlight off the shooter almost, to the degree that the talking point of every bit of that was a female that couldn't holster and unholster a gun. That became like the biggest thing. And then what aggravates me more about this than anything is all the women and men are saying how good of a job she did and all this other stuff. And I'm sitting here, but my deeper concern with that, it has nothing to do with she can holster or not holster a gun, or she should be, you know, doing or not. They're sitting here basically advocating like women's rights, and I'm sitting here like, you all are stupid. Do you all see what's happening to women's rights in America right now with the LGBTQ stuff? And y'all are on this bandwagon of how good she was as a female, you know, officer. I'm like, what about this other crap where they're losing their rights daily by the minute? Well, and y'all just sit back and do nothing.
And here's the craziest part, is because you'll have people who like argue for women's rights and like say, you know, women don't get paid the same as men for doing the same job. But then they're also the same people who tell you that gender's fluid and that there's no difference between men and women sexual orientation wise. And it's like, hold on, you can't have it both ways. Either there is a difference between men and women women are being taken advantage of in the workplace, or there is no difference between men and women, and you just suck at your job.
It's common sense. To Democrats, Republicans, smart, stupid, intelligent, retarded, whatever you want to put. This is so simple topic, and people, you know, what's the difference between a man and woman? I don't care what the difference between a man and woman. I can. This whole LGBTQ confusion across the board is clearly summed up by what I can tell you. Okay, you're a girl. And you or a guy, you don't know. Well, what's a female? Well, you can't define that because it's this and this and this, blah blah whatever. Same vice versa. But well, if you're a guy, what's a male? What's whatever? You got all these stupid questions that every moron out here that's part of the LGBTQ XYZ community can't communicate. It's like this. Here's how stupid you all are, and I'm going to clarify this. You're part of the LGBTQ. Well, I'm gonna transition. Transition to what? A boy. You just freaking answered it. You can't transition to
an elf.
What do you? They don't want to recognize man and woman. Primarily, that's the LGBTQ top hotline. I mean, they don't. They won't recognize a man and a woman.
That's your only two options.
Exactly my point. What are you transitioning to? A male
or
a woman?
Yeah, I know.
But they won't recognize it. So what I have to do is take that common sense that I just explained. Hopefully y'all can grasp that. I know that's deep. Pair people.
Yeah.
But then what you also want me to do is, we believe in equality. We believe in all this other stuff. Well, I'm a guy. Apparently you all want to be like me, but you can't accept it because I'm straight.
Well,
but it's not about that. It's about who you're screwing at the end of the day. That's not what we're talking about. Well, is it? Because that's what it seems to be. It seems to be that you want to come across, you know what, that part, but it seems to be that you want to really bash the straight people because you can't recognize a male or a female, but that's what you want to become. And now all of a sudden, but here's where I'm going. You can recognize it then because it's one of your own. But when it's a straight people, it's not recognized.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't. It's not. I'm not some intellectual think. I mean, it doesn't take. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out.
Now, the craziest one to me is whenever I hear of a man who transitions to a female, keeps their penis, and then is still attracted to females. What is that? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
Well, they've probably got some term for it.
What are you doing? Are you really trying to call yourself a lesbian?
Well, that's where that's probably where the fitting term would she-male would come into play.
I'm telling you, like, it doesn't make sense. Like if you're going to transition, and I'm a woman now, then in my opinion, you should be wanting to be a woman because you're interested in men, right? Otherwise, just be gay, or vice versa.
Well,
like, why would you want to become a dude and have sex with
and
women?
the problems comes like what you're saying, which kind of spun off in a different direction about women not having, the right, workplace and men are far better and all this other stuff. Well, I have to paint the perfect picture here. So you come into work dressed like drag. I can tell you, you ain't going to be any C-level position in my company. That's the problem with the United States of America is why we're the laughing stock of every country in the world is because we got supposed to be men fighting in a war. Nothing wrong with women there. I'm not even getting into that debate, although I'd like to. But look at what you're representing, and you wonder why, we're the laughing stock of people. Why you got Tim Dong Shongalong over there wanting to bomb everybody, It's like you're a joke. You're not a threat. What are you going to do? You get out your skirts and go fight a war?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm kind of at the point where if something like this comes to America, I think I'll be one of the first people to go to jail because, I would end up being the guy who posts a meme similar to Elon here, like this, which let me just see. Can you guess what the correlation here is?
Well, it's better than the drag queen show because I don't see any penises hanging out of their pants.
So
that was at the Olympics, by the way. Did that episode too?
Yeah. So if you don't quite get what the picture's implying here, a gangbang. So up top, that's like something you would find on a typical adult website. But then down here below, we have
really.
Well, I mean, look, it's a search.
I would have never put that together.
Really?
No. And
With
maybe
the way
because
they're looking at her?
No. I was, here we go, people. And I'm gonna, I'm basing this because you're doing apples to apples, oranges to oranges here. I'm basing it black people, white people, Muslims, white people, or I guess Muslim is whatever you call it. I'm not going to try to sit there and pick their gender, but either way, Indians, white guy. Yeah, I'm looking at race.
Yeah.
Middle
Eastern.
You're looking at it like, oh, this stuff on an adult website, and I'm like,
look,
they're not like nude or anything. It's not like, but then you
could look at
there's
those
no
hungry
comparison.
eyes, dude. Those guys definitely look. That does not look like some Hanes commercial. Like if I saw that on TV, I'm like, whoa,
that is more acceptable. The way than this guy's looking down. This guy's over here like,
well, yeah.
I don't know if that's like, hey, you're cute, or I'm about to.
This is
kill you.
You better say what you need to say, or we're gonna blow up this building.
Yeah, this guy here is like, just like, come on, say it. This guy's like, I'm going to kill you. This guy back here is just like, he's just like, I'm ready to be gone. This guy's in him just like, yo, what's up, brother? You better say it right. I'm gonna come get you. These guys up here, he's looking at her like, you just stupid. This guy's just like, it looks like he's about to sleep. He's just like, what up, girl? This guy's just like, I can think of some words that probably people of color might say. But he's just like,
thinking a lot of life
he's like,
decisions.
what's up?
Now down here though,
and she's just like, I'm a Barbie girl.
I gotta.
She's living in her world, man.
In my opinion, I look at a picture like this, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, tell me you're in a hostage situation without telling me you're in a hostage situation. Because the way that this man and this guy is looking at him, it looks like he's taping a message of, yes, I am okay, family, thank you for being concerned. This is great
like
hospitality.
From a terrorist?
Yeah, with terrorists behind you. And I'm just telling you, like, this is the kind of stuff, though, that
She
can
could be
get
doing
you...
the same thing.
This can literally get you arrested in the United Kingdom for making such a joke like this. And that's how dystopian this all becomes. And I don't know really the best way to go about it other than in November, if we elect Kamala Harris, we are going to see the UK's plan of anyone in the United States who decides to make fun of what's going on in the UK or potentially incite racial hatred in the UK, they are now saying the police commissioner of the UK threatens to extradite and jail U.S. citizens over their online post. We'll come after you. Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law, the police commissioner warned. This is, and now here's what's crazy, because there's not a cold chance in hell that
Who's Alexander Hall?
it's the writer for the article.
Who said a U.S. police commissioner that they don't want to give his name?
I think it's Tommy Robinson or something like that.
I'm sorry.
Point of it being, though, is this will never happen under a president like Donald Trump. The UK would, I imagine he would just tell them, hey, go get bent. You can do that to your citizens, but you're not doing it to ours. Mm-hmm. However, if Kamala Harris gets elected, I am 100% convinced she will work hand in hand with the UK government in extraditing U.S. citizens to the UK to be punished for their online post. And the issue that I have with that is, why would she do something like that? And it's to further the censorship regime. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, they don't like dissent. And whenever you post online about the crap that they do, the stuff that they try to sneak by, and you're talking about it and you're exposing them, you better believe they want to get rid of you. And, I have further evidence to prove that we're dealing with a literal communist. Listen to the way that this woman talks about America and her vision for it.
To be about a goal of saying everybody should end up in the same place. And since we didn't start in the same place, some folks might need more. Equitable distribution. Giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests often everybody should get the same thing. Well, that often assumes everybody started out in the same place. As opposed to equity, which is everyone should end up in the same place. And if you then understand not everybody started out in the same place, you understand some people need more. So we all end up in the same place, right?
No.
We are proud of the fact that equity is one of our guiding principles. Proud of the fact that we understand equality is important, but not everybody starts out on the same base.
She's proud of it.
We see that people in our country are having an experience that is not equal.
Oh.
So when we talk about the work we are doing here together, it is recognizing that and being guided by this principle of what we must do in the spirit and in the interest of equity. To put equity firmly at the center of our economic policy. But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners.
Here we go. So,
If you lost her mind.
If you did not catch it, what is she talking about? There's a difference between equality.
She didn't talk about white people. She's talking about black people.
Equality and equity.
That's what she said.
And one clip. I mean, look, she's talked about this enough. She's exposed herself as a communist. Now, here's how you can see exactly what she's meaning here. So equality is like, hey, everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed, not based on the color of your skin or your education background, but purely based on meritocracy. That's equality of outcomes. What she wants is equity or equitable distribution of wealth. And how does that work? You have to take from the wealthy and give to the poor. And how this ends up working out is if you're an individual who wants to grind and work your tail off for a living and try to make something for yourself and your family and for other people to benefit from, you will not benefit from this system.
No, you'll give it away.
And here's why. Because at the end of the day, the only way everyone gets the same amount is the government has to step in and say, hey, we're taking everything. We're in control of everything now.
I'm actually not opposed to what she said.
Oh, why is that?
I think we just take all the homeless people, make them politicians, and let them live on the street. Let's put them on the same playing field. That's what she wants.
But that's never how it works. Because
But, I know that. But
government, you don't.
Obviously, being smart aleck, I don't agree with what she's saying.
Yeah.
But that's essentially that. This is exactly this happens every election, and you can crap on me all you want, but she didn't mention white people in this, and we watched several clips. It was about black people. She's comparing what she said. And this is where common sense, I said that a minute ago, comes into play. We need to do it with this and that. We need money to start them out on the same playing field. What I'm talking about, black people. That's what she said.
Yeah.
She didn't come out and say it directly the way I just put it. It's what she said. We talk about getting everybody on the same playing field, get them on the same start, give them this, give them that. And we need equity, equality, black people. That's what she said. She didn't mention nothing about, there's white people or there's would it be Asians or, whatever you want to put in there.
Asians don't need help.
Indians
don't need help.
No, but again, there's some prime examples there too. I think that the Native Americans would probably not like that law either.
No, because they get full advantage of
they do.
Of what the government gives them.
I don't care about what people have to say about this matter because it is proven where I'm at. It's called McGirt law. McGirt, sorry, I pronounced that wrong. And they're immune to a lot of things.
Yeah.
They have a different
untouchable.
freaking law. In the United States, they have a different set of laws. And a lot of them times they're doing, very bad stuff and they're not getting prosecuted.
Yep.
And it's not fair.
Mismanagement of
it's
funds,
and
you name it.
And again, I don't agree with it. I think it's messed up. But I have to sit here and also say, yep, look what you did.
Yeah. That's what happens whenever you let white guilt take over. And that's the biggest problem with America, and it'll probably be the end of us unless people wake up. But as a white person in America, quit feeling bad for what happened in history. Because one thing that always cracks me up is people are quick to point out, number one, they always try to make it out like America created some new type of terrible slavery whenever they brought black people over. But the reality of it is slavery has been going on since the beginning of time. And then to take it one step further, I think the original term slaves comes from the word Slav, which was to describe white slaves. So the origin of slavery starts with white people.
I think in America, the biggest issue is, black people. There's no doubt about that. And I get, I just look at it as if you're going to go in this whole race thing with black people, okay, I've got to be fair to this issue. You have to bring the Native Americans into it too.
Yeah, no, and
you
else
have
that's
to
looking for a handout.
because I can, and this is proven. They were here before either one of us were. So, hey, you might have came here on a boat, and your great grandparents might have had to endure some crap to get it. But hey, bottom line of it is, these people were here before we were.
Yeah, and we bought the land from them.
Yeah, the crap we did to them, and I'm not saying that it's right by no means. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's very, but it's like, when do you bury the hatchet on this crap? What do you? I know this to be true. I just know it. I can't. There's no facts to back it. There's nothing else that other than you're a human. If we right now to this day, and the government said we don't, whatever, we're giving you reparations, and what you're going to do is you are going to make more people racist. You will make a generation that kind of like maybe teetering and how they feel about people. You will make people more racist. And that is actually not helping your cause at all. At all. Because you're going to have people a vast majority of people like me is like, I don't know you crap.
Yeah, I'm not paying.
I did
shit.
nothing to you.
Yeah.
You know, I go out and broke the law. I get in a car wreck, you know, whatever, and something happened.
Everybody should end up in the same place.
You know, and something happened. That's why you have insurance and blah, blah, whatever. You know, I get that. I don't know you anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know you respect because you're a black person. You don't get, you're not entitled because you're black. And same thing, you don't get it because you're white. You don't get all this other stuff because you're white or you're Native American or it doesn't matter. You don't get it. That's the land of the free, you know? I mean, sorry, go take your crap somewhere else. You know, it needs to freaking be squashed. But the thing of it is, as much as I can sit here and harp on it, and I can hit it hard, I can be nice about it, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop because we keep teaching the kids it's okay to be racist. Our government is media more so. I say the government, but the media is, you know, it's segregating people in America. It's not going to stop. It's not.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, what this really comes down to is we've been manipulated throughout the entire history of the United States. There's always been a battle of good versus evil. You know, at the end of the day, the funniest thing to me is that so many black people are convinced that it was the Democrats who freed the slaves, even though that is the furthest from the truth. And they also like to think that it was Republicans who started the KKK, but it wasn't. It was the Democrats. You know, and so there's all these convenient facts throughout history. You know, who tried arming the black people? Guess what? It wasn't the Democrats. So the point of it being here is that and I'm not saying that every Democrat's evil, because I do like some progressive policies.
What was it, the Democratic Party that got slavery to the end?
No, it was the Republican Party with Abraham Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation.
And you know, you can, and people can let me translate, put this in really good English for everybody. It was the brothers from the South that, you know, I mean, you probably already see where I'm going, but that line, there's been this line drawn in America to begin with. You know, I use the word South. You know, they're here's what media paints them. Run around with Confederate flags, you know, and cause and everybody in the South part of the KKK, and you know that's kind of But hey, I'm telling you, people, that's the way the media portrays it, you know, and you know, but then you have on the other hand, you have the good old boys, Dukes of Hazzard, they can run the Confederate flag, but that's okay, you know. But I mean, you see,
it is,
it's messed up that this line's drawn in the way that the media paints us. You know, it's ridiculous, and they're going to continue to do it. They've been doing it since, you know, as long as I've been alive, you know, and it's still like that. I've even referenced it too. And I mean, partially, I think I'm fall into that too, you know, because I'll, you know, classify East and West, not so much North, you know, not so much the South, you know, but it is, you know, a lot of this crap comes from, I'd say more so the West than the East. And it just trickles this way. That's why you're starting to see these blue flickers starting to come up in these southern states that typically were predominantly red. And then you get into these states. How does that affect us? Because what you're seeing is all this, I would say this racism, the LGBTQ, this homosexuality crap, the way they're doing stuff with schools, you see that trickle from there, and then all of a sudden it's here. You know, it's not one of these things. Somebody in Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, you know, one of these, I'd say down in Georgia, Atlanta, you know, all these other, I say southern states, you don't see something setting a trend to saying, hey, we need to have cats, you know, kids acting like they're kitty cats pissing in a litter box in our public school systems. You don't see that here. I mean, you do, but you see it out here and in some social media, whatever, and the kid's like, oh, yeah, I want to do that. I want to become woke now. I want to become gay now. I want to come out of the closet. You never were in a closet. The only reason you're doing it is for attention.
Yeah, well, and that's why I'm like, you know, thank God that I'm a Democrat, because I know that anything I post on social media isn't going to get flagged, you know, and I'm on the right side of history. Because, look, at the end of the day, it is better to be a communist and just share everything than to be a capitalist and free market. Like, that doesn't make sense. Look at all the wealthy people in America and how much, you know, they share and put in to help us poor people out. You know, now me personally, I'm the type of guy who I don't want to have to work. I just want to sit at home and play Call of Duty.
That's what I do.
And let my wife take care of the kids. And now she has a job, thank goodness.
What, to take care of the kids?
No, to like go out and make some money.
Maybe society would be better if they did.
No, I'm actually on disability for anxiety because I did try working at Chipotle, and it was just too much. Like the orders coming across the screen, people asking me for like
There was a kid online that was
extras.
actually saying that not too long. Like he couldn't work because he was, yeah, it worked. It would cause him too much stress, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's freaking job. Like nobody wants to get up and go to freaking work every day, but guess what? You do because you got bills to pay.
I know, but I was talking to my therapist, and she was telling me that a lot of it stems from childhood trauma, because like my parents would make me do the dishes and clean my room, fold my clothes, and it was something that like I never talked to them about like, hey, this bothers me. Like I'm still trying to finish my match. Now at the time it was Halo 3, but look, at the end of the day, it's concerning that people would want freedom like that. Like why aren't we letting the government take control of us? I'm totally fine with them censoring everything on social media to make sure I don't ever see a racist comment or anyone incites some type of hatred towards a group of people who maybe have ill will towards my Patriots. Now, that's where I kind of step into, we need a great vice president for this woman, and I don't think there's any better example than Tim Walz. And here's how I know that. Because if you're allegedly willing to take it up the booty from a horse,
Possibly, we don't know that to be true.
and fill yourself up with semen and have to go to the hospital, you're the vice president for me. And you're like, whoa, how can you say that? Well, I don't know how many Tim Walz are out there, and that kind of looks like a Tim Walz to me. But here we go. Local man stomach pumped after neighborhood dare goes wrong. And look, the short version of this is the Dr. Thompson, the doctor on scene said, "This is an extraordinary case. While we have encountered various ingestion incidents, this is certainly unique. The patient is currently stable and under observation." The point of it being here is that if you're willing to take it like that, then you have what it takes to be the vice president of America. And so kudos to him. I really hope that, because I know he was supportive of removing pedophilia language from a bill.
Quit shaking your leg.
But at the end of the day, I'm hoping that he can at least add where bestiality is legal, so that way, hopefully other people can have similar things happen to them, and that's the beauty of this state.
And who's the guy that's running as our VP?
Tim Walz. Now, this could be a different Tim Walz, guys, but that face just looks like him, and at the end of the day, I hope it is, because that's something I can get behind as a Democrat supporter. That just really, that makes me want to go to the polls in November. But that's where we're at, and like I don't know exactly how things are going to pan out in November. And in my opinion, if you just want me to be straight up, I think we're going to look at another situation of a stolen election. At this point, if you're saying that 2020 wasn't rigged and there wasn't fraud that took place, you're lying to yourself, and you're not actually going out and searching for the truth, because there has been proven evidence, especially in the state of Georgia, that proves it was human intervention that caused fraud to take place and for some of these ballots to be double counted. And there's no other way to wrap that up than they were stealing an election. Now, that's my opinion. Obviously there's too many idiots out there who just take what CNN tells them at face value, but that's where we're at. And so if you're on the fence, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is the best president that America can have, but whenever you're given two choices between a communist dictator wannabe and a man who is actually trying to put America first, I'm going with that guy. And we'll see where it turns out. Like I'm convinced that the Democrat Party isn't worried about the election in November because they're going to do the same thing they did last time and rig it.
Possibly.
So I mean that's what it is. That's where we're at in life.
Yep.
I mean, horses.
Proceed.
Horses are gonna have their way. I'm actually waiting for one of them to get elected because, that's about the only thing missing as far as bending us over on on all these issues. It's insanity. But yeah, no, it's a sad world, and I can't believe that we're actually faced with these two options, especially whenever there's so much evidence to prove that these guys are phonies and they're here to sell us out. So, I mean, that's really all I got.
Alrighty.
So, with that being said, thank you all so much for listening. I'm sure you have a comment for that Tim Walz scenario because let me tell you, I think it happened, but I have to say allegedly. But either way, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the like. We need some comments on there. Let us know what you think. But until then, have a great night.